Shout out to Coca 2005 for sending me the story, and also shout out to Nicole from Nicole's View because she was the first person I actually saw do a video about this particular topic. And this is coming out of Florida, or as Lovely T would say, ratchet ass Florida. And this is definitely a ratchet story here. So here you have this individual by the name of Jose Bernardo Rosa Madrigal. I'm guessing. He set his girlfriend's house on fire, and can anybody guess who he decided to blame? I'll give you a hint. A black guy. Yes, this banana boat crossing. I can't even come up with a damn good name. That's how frustrating this is. Anyway, y'all know where I was headed with it. He decided to blame a random black guy for burning his girlfriend's house down the whole time he was the culprit. I swear, white people, mostly the women, and now the oh hell, I'm gonna say the Taino. Isn't that the technical term? The technical term to call them the Taino? Or the Hispanic, Latino, whatever, are doing the same thing. This blaming the black guy or the black man or a black individual for this, but it's mostly black men, is getting tired. But we know exactly what book he pulled this from. He pulled this from the White Supremacist Handbook, which is most likely what he read from to pull this out of his ass. It says a Florida teen alleged, no he did. A Florida teen burned, he set his girlfriend's house on fire while she and her parents were inside. But when confronted by detectives, he claimed a random black guy did it. Now, it's crazy how when he was confronted about it, he did not say another person like himself did it. He didn't say, oh, it was just some other person. He said it was a black guy who did it. That was the first thing that came to his mind, was that a black guy did it. It must be written in a small print somewhere in the world that whenever something happens to somebody else that's bad, that you have to automatically blame a black guy. Yet again, this could have put a random black guy in danger of losing their life, because they would have went all out trying to find them. They know the history of what it is to blame a black guy for something. Had this been back in Jim Crow, they would have found any random black guy they could get their hands on. They didn't even have to fit the description. It could have been young or old, boy or man, got them and didn't even ask them did they set the fire. They would have just strung them up and they would have killed them. This blame the black guy bullshit gets very, very old. So this whole black and brown alliance thing, that doesn't work either. That's about as bad as integration. It says cops say Jose Bernardo, whatever the fuck his last two names are, doused the Polk City home with lighter fluid days after he scoured Google for how to burn a brick house down, and threatened to kill his sweetheart over Snapchat. The 19-year-old even used the liquid fuel to draw a heart on a fence near his girlfriend's bedroom window. Oh, this guy's not playing with full deck. After Jose ignited the family's front yard, he drove past the house to see his handiwork. James Scott, the father of the girlfriend, says his residents avoided damage, but that parts of his yard went up in flames. We were very lucky. We caught it in the time before it blew up. I thank God because God was on our side. If it would have gone 5 or 10 more minutes, the car would have blew up. My house would have been on fire. He could have killed us. Jose faces 3 counts of attempted first-degree homicide and 1 count of first-degree arson. He is also charged with possession of liquor by a person under the age of 21. They're missing a charge. False claims. But of course, because he was blaming a black guy, they're not gonna call that as a false claim. They need to tack that on there as well. I think it should be deemed a hate crime when someone of any other race blames a black person for a crime that they weren't even a part of. Like I said, they love to make black men the bad guy of any story that is deemed negative or very dangerous. You don't see black people out here blaming every other race for a crime that was committed. Although I wouldn't be that upset if they decided to start doing it. But you know what? Even if we did, it would be hard. They wouldn't believe it, even if it was true. Look at how hard it was for those black women to convince the world at large that Daniel Holtzclaw, a man who claimed to be Pacific Islander, who was really white, that he was the one that was raping them. They didn't believe them for two reasons. One, because they were black women, and two, they were mostly poor black women, with the exception of that grandmother who was living in a middle-class suburban area. He got a little too comfortable with that one. But if they blame a black person, oh, it's automatically believed because the black guy's the scary guy. Black man's the boogeyman. The black man is this, he's that. He's just everything that's bad in the world. Now y'all see why it is so hard being a black man, not only in America, but in the world. Because we have to deal with this shit on a daily. Of always having to be blamed for every goddamn thing. Even if the shit ain't even true. Like in this case, and many other cases. It says messages left for Jose's public defender were not returned. He remains in Polk County Jail on a $60,000 bond. It said he planned this in advance. He Googled how to burn the house. He mixed the combination and poof, he set it on fire, and poof, we put him in jail. The Scott family reported the blaze at 7:30 p.m. on the day after Thanksgiving. According to an arrest affidavit, the girlfriend received several Snapchat messages which had threats of burning down her home. Scott told the Daily Beast his daughter had recently requested some space from Madrigal, whom he described as controlling. Jose and the girl, who are high schoolers, had been dating for a year. Recently, the girl began receiving death threats on Snapchat from a bogus account, and those warnings continued even after the blaze. Police believe Jose is behind the social media threats. Well, of course he is. I mean, look at what he did. He tried to burn their house down with her and her family inside. But when deputies began investigating the messages, they soon focused on Jose. The teen told investigators that he was at his mother's home, 25 minutes away when the fire broke out. Yet a neighbor's surveillance footage showed Jose's truck arrive at the home minutes before the victims dialed 911. When confronted with the footage, Jose told the detectives he was in the neighborhood driving by his girlfriend's house trying to check on her because they had spat earlier in the day. Jose said he drove past the house 3 times, and on the third, he saw the yard burning. I'm sure he drove past 3 times because he needed to make sure that the house was burning. So the first 2 times it must have not did nothing, but by the third time he rolled around, it was on fire, or about to be on fire. The high schooler allegedly told the cops he didn't know what to do, so he took off. One neighbor told News Channel 8 that residents helped extinguish the flames. There was liquid everywhere. The teen would later tell investigators that he saw a random black guy light the flames before running off. And it's some more stuff, but you pretty much get the gist of it. Listen, he's a piece of shit. He needs to be in jail. Then he can be around as many random black guys as possible, who I'm sure are going to give him a nice, warm welcome. Y'all let me know what you think down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Be sure to check out the links in the description. Have your notifications turned on.